Good morning, afternoon, evening, and in today's video I'll be teaching you how to paint the Starry Night in under 30 minutes. Some materials that you will need is blue, green, yellow, black, and a type of white. Either titanium white, vanilla, or anything similar would work. Let's get started, shall we? If you can have your palette ready, if you can take out the blue, which will be our first color, and alongside blue, if you can take out your vanilla or titanium white. So if you're keeping up, these are the colors that we're going to use for our first step. Now, just to save some time, I have a black canvas on me, but if you have a white canvas, then please take some black color to layer over the canvas before starting. After it dries, you should have a same base foundation as I do currently. Now then, let's get started. Blue and white. We'll be adding the first layer, which is part of the background. We'll be doing smooth strokes of blue first in a almost swirl-like motion across the canvas from left to right. You can start at a lower height and slowly swirl your way to a higher height. Now, to add some texture with your land, you can take the white and just go over the blue. Yes, the blue is still wet, but that'll allow for the colors to mix. Do not overdo it too much, as we want to see some strands of white across the blue layering. Now then, if you're still catching up, no worries, you can pause the video. But if you're ready, let's take out our yellow color and add it alongside our palette. Now, using yellow, we'll be doing a impressionist style stippling. This technique is where we just take a large brush and kind of just poke around with yellow paint. We'll be adding these unique textures above the blue background layering that we just did. You can make it slightly more unbalanced, perhaps taller on one side and shorter on another side, to really give off a 3D feel. Now, it wouldn't be a starry night without stars. We'll be taking the same yellow. You don't need to wash your brush if it got mixed in any color, but we'll take our yellow and just kind of stipple down some circles. Perhaps you have a large one in the top right, or maybe you don't want to make it all large. You'll do some smaller ones. Maybe for here, I did a big one on the right, and I thought I'm gonna mix it around. I'll do some smaller ones from the left, maybe a medium-sized one, or a slightly bigger one on the bottom. And you can really decide however you want to add these stars. I chose it to do it in a circular motion, or a circular shape, but maybe you can get creative and decide your own shape. Now this is somewhat optional, but I took any extra yellow color I had to add to the bottom of the page. We'll be making this into the background details in the later steps. Now we'll be moving on to the signature part of this piece. If you still have some white, if not, you can pause the video to just do a quick refill. We'll be doing the same stippling technique just like we did when we had the yellow. So, dab your brush with some white. And then we'll be going in a downward motion, like we're wrapping the stars that we drew around the painting. Here I did a downward swirl, wrapping around the stars I drew on the top left, and it swirled down. Kind of looks like a little tentacle almost. The reason why I made it swirl down instead of swirl up is because eventually when I combine it with a second swirl from the right side, it will become almost like a focus point or a composition that tells the viewer where to really look at. Here I'm just filling in the white, make it look like it's more abundant. And now I'll be doing the downward spiral. This spiral is just the same thing if you flipped it upside down. It'll be wrapping around the one we just did and the stars that we drew. Now you can kind of see here that I can't really make this swirl similar and have like that big wide thickness like the one on top. So instead of doing the same thing, I decided to make the swirl actually swirl back to the canvas. So if you think you kind of judge the distance a little wrong, it doesn't matter, because you can always make it look better in your own way. Now, we're going to be using a lot of blue, and you probably will need a refill, so take a pause over here, go and refill your blue. And if you kind of remember what I talked about composition, we're doing a similar principle. We'll be following that principle, and using the same stippling technique, we'll be adding the blue patterns in a way that it follows the direction of where the things in the background are going. A little confusing, perhaps. If you think if you drew your white swirls going right, then the blue stipples around the white might be wrapping it itself around that white. Do you get it? Wonderful. Now we're actually almost done. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're just a couple steps away from having a Starry Night painting. Here I took the color green. It's not a major part of the painting, and perhaps you can choose a different color if you don't have green, but this is the green. This green is for the yellow stipples or paint strokes that I added in the previous steps. I will be kind of wrapping it around the yellow stipples. It doesn't matter if the yellow is still wet. Matter of fact, if it kind of mixes a little, it'll be good. If you kind of want to level up your stars or the yellow color in your painting, I went and got some orange. Now, a starry night is obviously nighttime, so here we're just gonna add a little crescent moon. And we're gonna take any extra yellow that we had to just fill in the stars. Doing that, we're just gonna add a little stroke of paint right in the middle. We're almost done. Here I took the color orange because why? We're gonna level up the yellow that we have on our canvas currently. To bring out the highlights, we took a slightly stronger color that is still very similar to yellow, orange. If you have your orange, we'll just be adding small strokes of paint, similar to the stippling that we just did, just not as much. So that, of course, also includes our moon and our stars. Now just finishing up the highlights. So I'm just taking some blue and just filling in the little black gaps that were in between the white swirls. I kind of didn't really like the white swirls. I think they were a little too light. So here I just took some white and just kind of went over it again to really show off the white. Now, if you have any extra blue, then you can take that blue and fill in the gaps, the black gaps inside the white swirls to make it look like these stars are in the night blue sky, if you know what I mean. We're just gonna finish up now, and it doesn't really matter if certain parts are still wet. But right now I'll be taking the final color, black. You probably know what we're going to be using this for, and if you didn't know, it'll be for the tree, the big tree right next to the white swirls. So for the tree, I'll be starting with a very thin line, just to kind of get an idea of where I want the tree to be. There'll be a long branch on the very top, so I'll make it a little thicker. And while I go down, I'll make the foundation of the tree, or the trunk, slowly and slowly more and more thick. As I go down, I'll probably include extra branches. So here I added a little branch on the left, and then later I'm going to add a branch on the right. There's no specific order. Just the final image of the tree should look like a really tall, almost triangle-like shape. And there you go. If you have any extra colors, you can kind of add it around the tree to kind of make like a light reflection effect. That's it for this little tutorial video. I hope you enjoyed the process, enjoyed the experience. For more videos in the future, please subscribe. And if you ever want to try to do these paintings yourself in person, click down in the description the link to Sally's and Music website and join our paint night every month. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.